You're still watching the Afia Morning Show. Of course, this show reaches you live every weekday at 8 a.m. live from the cold city of Enugu, Nigeria. And my name is Nathalie Uko. This is saying once again a warm welcome to a brand new week of broadcast. Now, many of you probably wonder, where is Nnamdi? I mean, he should have read the news, but right now he is making his way to the Enugu State High Court, where the hearing on an injunction, like I said earlier, against the airing of Afia TV's documentary 318 Hectares, featuring the Centenary City controversy, is supposed to commence today. So, well, today is just a one-on-one between you and I, but I promise you, we will not fall short of your expectations. I'm not here alone. The one-on-one begins with Barrister Chidi Ujoatumba of Ujoatumba and Company. And of course, he is a human rights lawyer. Barrister Chidi, thank you so much for joining.
Good morning, and thanks for having me today.
Yeah, so you're still owing us that fried chicken.
You won't miss it. You won't miss it.
Are you sure about that?
As the Ulata season draws closer, I want you to be expecting a peppered roasted chicken with maybe vegetable salad and red wine.
Now, the issue is I don't even know if I can accept it, because at the end of the day, I feel like we owe you so much for being such a loyal, frequent guest.
Leave that
so if
one
I
side.
bring it and I'll give it back to you.
Bring that leave that one side. You will still eat the chicken.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will prepare a hamper for you as well, to be fair. Okay, let's take a look at headlines making the news. The weekend was full of activity. Many people said that you would know how active or interesting the week would be, judging by how active the weekend was. Certain expulsions, conventions, and the issues around the Christian genocide. People reminding people that this has not been forgotten. It's still an ongoing case. So let's see which of them made the front covers. We'll begin with the Punch newspaper. Alleged Christian genocide. U.S. Congress begins full-scale probe into Nigeria's killings. Nigerian church leaders to testify at Congress Thursday. Tinubu peace emissary meets Plateau Christian and Fulani leaders. Federal workers demand 35,000 naira wage award arrears. Obaseki failed Edo, Oshomole replies PDP. Immigration IOM deep in partnership on border control. Lagos driver flees with employer's car 4 days after resumption. DR Congo and Nigeria's 2026 World Cup dream. Federal government scholars abroad stage protest over unpaid allowances. 2027 Oshun, Imo, Kano lead 2.3 million voter pre-registrations. Nearly $3 billion spent on Eurobond debt servicing under Tinubu. Straight to Daily Independent. Experts warn of fiscal instability as Nigeria's borrowing grows. It'll take 4 years for Wike to return to PDP, according to Bode George. Arbitrator in $718 million First Bank versus GHI case revealed as bank shareholder. Time running out for Nigeria to tackle oil, gas, methane emissions. Insecurity. Tinubu sends emissary to Plateau to broker peace. Serap gives CBN 7 days to account for alleged 3 trillion naira missing funds. And also here, Gumi false call for his arrest, defends engagement with bandits. Federal government urged to apologize, reverse mother tongue policy. Disguised contract staffing creates safety blind spot at airports. On Vanguard, as bank profits rebound to 2.5 trillion naira, manufacturers shun bank loans over high interest rates. Convention of controversies. How Turaki emerged as PDP national chairman. Era of impunity in PDP gone, according to Turaki. To save PDP is to save Nigeria's democracy, of course, according to a stakeholder. Also here, Tinubu to appoint ambassador soon. The presidency says UK to allow Nigerians, other foreign students switch to innovator founder visa. Electricity workers threaten nationwide shutdown. Imo transmission incident, a dispute, not abduction, according to the police. On The Guardian, 2026 budget delays spark fiscal spending concern uncertainty. Abia Assembly writes Tinubu seeks Kano's unconditional release. Akpabio says it's government duty to secure Plateau, Nigeria. Pope Obi wading as 33 million Nigerians risk severe hunger in 2026. PDP's future in doubt after disputed convention returns to Turaki elects NWC. And of course, also here, DR Congo ends Nigeria's 2026 World Cup dreams. On The Nation, Tinubu targets interfaith, inter-ethnic truce in Plateau. Inflation eases for 7th consecutive time. DSS nabs major arms supplier to armed groups. And on New Telegraph, insecurity, McBurn writes U.S. Congress seeks removal from proposed sanctions list. And also here, controversial rulings, NBA demands financial autonomy for judiciary. UK asylum reforms, refugees to face 20-year waits to settle permanently. Muslim ticket in 2023 emboldened Islamic fundamentalists, according to Lawal. Serap to CBN account for missing 3 trillion naira or face legal action. And also here, this is according to a study, snake pea can end gout pain, kidney stones. Bill, federal government targets $210 billion valuation for Nigeria's digital economy. On Daily Trust, bandits kill 3, abduct 64 in Zamfara. Coalition will consider all options for 2027, according to the PDP chairman. Nigeria refuses to hand over Bakari to Cameroon. McBurn writes American Congress seeks removal from sanctions list. Nigerian man kills father, stabs sisters in U.S. Sokoto government confirms dengue fever outbreak. Why bread price remains high despite drop in flour cost. And lastly, on Daily Sun, PDP crisis, battle shifts to states, weakest men plot counter-offensive, Ibadan Convention, a jamboree, according to Ayahu. South-South Zonal Scribe Tuna dismisses expulsion, claims reaffirms loyalty to weaker. Refiners fault federal government's willing buyer, willing seller crude sales model, say it's distorting prices. And lastly here, FBN versus GHL, whistleblowers expose sole arbitrator as First Bank stakeholder, or shareholder, much rather. Barrister Chidi, so many interesting headlines. I think we'll start from the first one, bold and center of the Punch, concerning the alleged Christian genocide. Now, many people assumed that the world had moved on, that people had moved on, and said, please don't forget this is happening in Nigeria. Now, we're seeing the U.S. Congress, of course, led by Rep. Riley Moore, doubling down to begin full-scale probe into these killings going on. And we're also seeing fresh investigations showing the attack. We saw the Rep. Riley Moore saying that it's a 5-1 ratio between the number of Christians killed and the Islams killed. This was in response to claims that this is a selective intervention. Islams are also killed and Christians. So he's saying there are more Christians than Islams being killed in the country. What's your take on this, shall we say, doubling down of the probe into these alleged killings?
You know, when Trump makes a statement and when he goes out to tweet, that's his own way of communicating to the world what he intends to do. But one thing that is good about this development is that he didn't go immediately the following week and start dropping bombs in Kaduna and in Zamfara. I think he is following the most appropriate route, you know, because of the nature of democracy in the United States. Any action that he needs to take with the U.S. military outside the shores of the United States of America needs to be approved by the Congress. So that's why he is taking it to the Congress to do the necessary investigation. I think there's a special committee that will open up a hearing on this issue, and certain dignitaries and personalities has been listed to come and testify. Because if you could remember, on the first day of November, when the U.S. president made this allegations, you know, there was a pushback from Nigeria president that it is a kind of that there is no genocide, that Nigeria is a kind of allowing a freedom of religion, but the fact still remains on the ground. And I think the president or the chairman of OAU came out last week and also said that there is nothing like Christian genocide in Nigeria. So the Americans are being very careful here. All they're going to do now, they're going to bring out facts. And I think the quantum of facts they have is unprecedented. They know as detailed as those who have been convicted under Sharia law in the north, how many cases that are in the court in respect to Sharia law, and all the states that are operating where Sharia law is currently operating now. All those snippets, all those small cases that you see people catching up and uploading, they are investigating each and every one of them. They're going to go to all these churches, and leaders of these churches are going to come. I heard that they're going to come into the what do you call it, the IDP camp, and interrogate people who are there. So if you are saying that there is no Christian genocide, I wonder how many people you're going to buy over to, kind of sweep this whole thing under the carpet. Because when investigation is done, it will speak much volume, very much volume than even what the federal government of Nigeria is trying to, water down.
I mean, according to what's on ground, you're seeing fresh citations coming up, even by the rep, saying things like a Christian is being put in captivity, basically being jailed for trying to protect himself against a herdsman. And remember, you mentioned that as well. And he's also faulting the use of the terminology by the government, farmer header crisis, farmer header fascist.
I was screaming like someone who still caught fire when this whole narrative were coming up on the daily news, because it kind of blindfolds us. It makes the media not to pursue the right narrative, and it makes us look as though we don't even know actually what is happening to us when a particular genocide or ethnic cleansing is. Because let me tell you why people use that word genocide. When you kill men, women, children, and you burn down houses, and you now bring in your own people to reoccupy the place where they were formerly occupied. So this is the thin line you cannot really underplay, because if you attack as a result of probably your cow, where some of your cows were killed, you will attack, or there will be a reprisal of attack, and you move back to your base, and you don't go as low as or as horrible as slaying, raping, and burning houses. People wouldn't have used that word genocide. So when you kill men, women, children, you burn down their houses and you burn churches, and you rip up kids from unborn babies from pregnant women, and you tie the intestine on your neck, and you shout Allah Akbar, and you occupy the community within the next few days, and you're telling me it's not genocide. I wonder how they are, because the IDP camps are still operational. 16 communities in Jos have been totally taken over by bandits, you understand? So let the investigation, let the Congress conduct a full-fledged investigation, and let them release the report to Mr. President. I think it will enable Mr. President Trump to know the next level of action to engage on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's rather shocking.
It's very shocking.
A lot of these things, according to the reports and of course the interviews being granted by stakeholders in the US, that we have been seeing a lot of things going on. A lot of killings going on, but there's not really been a terminology to it. I mean, the use of genocide typically just makes everything seem like you start to wonder. A lot of these things that have been happening within communities being sacked. Farmers being killed in such heinous and aggravated ways. You kill someone
barbarious way,
decapitate the person, and you sack the person. So, you're seeing them also saying that there are some areas in Nigeria that still support killing because of blasphemy, right? Because you say something that does not agree with the faith, you're slain. You're murdered.
It's barbaric. It's barbaric. So it's against the Constitution. Have you heard the latest narrative that is coming up right now? If you can allow your state to be a Sharia state, you can also allow human rights to be operational. Now, when a law is in contradistinction with the Constitution, the Constitution will definitely prevail at the end of the day, because the Constitution of this country guarantees my fundamental human right, your fundamental human right, and the fundamental human right of the person who is also in Zamfara and in Kebbi. So if we will uphold the provisions of the Constitution, okay, you can't kill me because I used a word or I said something that violates your own religion. That comes under the Constitution. My Constitution is supreme and it should be upheld above every other law.
There have also been
including Sharia.
Actually, there have also been concerns that certain stakeholders, high-profile persons of influence that should be commenting on this issue of genocide have not been doing that, further fueling the allegations and claims that this might be an attempt to Islamize Nigeria. Do you believe in that school of thought?
I believe, because I have seen documents. Allegedly, I have heard people being interviewed of a plan. You understand? Because when they have a political interest, okay, to protect, and they are in a political position, their voice matters. When they speak out and call a spade a a spade, it will kind of turn their base, towards them, supporting them, and it will change the entire narrative. But when they close their mouth, they are just trying to protect that little or pocket of interest they have. It might be a political interest, it might be an economic interest, or whatever. So this is very, very bigger than we are thinking. And I like what European Union is saying, because if you look at areas where you have Islamic fundamentalists, if you look at areas where you have all these hardcore terrorists who are ready to kill at any time, you find out that it's always the north. It's always the Muslims are always at the north,
right,
and Christians are always at the south. And when you divide, if you split Nigeria into 3 or into 2 right now, so you will be rest assured. So as Trump is considering all the options on the table, dividing Nigeria into 3 or into 2 is not an option that should be removed totally out of the table. It should be on the table. Yes, it should be on the table. Let me tell you one thing, Natalie, can you agree with me that at this point in time, what stops us from dusting the what do you call it, the constitutional work that Goodluck Jonathan did about how the various component and constituent entities of Nigeria can come together and exist as one? You understand? We have never done that. Every constitution that we have been used have been enforced on us. When can I sit down? If we truly love this country and we want to forge ahead as an entity, we have to sit down, okay, and say this is the type of government that will work. This is the type of system of government that will work. We must do that.
I suspect that was the reason for the constitution review that happened, but we're still waiting for the outcome of that, the full outcome. So let's look at this closely related headline. This one taken from The Nation. Tinubu targets interfaith, inter-ethnic truce in Plateau. Of course, this is another intervention of the federal government coming on the heels of the immense allegations of Christian genocide going on in the country. How would you rate the actions of President Bola Tinubu since these allegations started to make the news?
It's the president of the actions of Mr. President is reactionary. Okay, Mr. President is reacting to the tweet of the President of the United States of America. Because if you come into his system, if you come into this administration and take a kind of account of measures or approaches being taken to quell this insurgency, this insecurity, you will definitely not find anything. It's just changing of chief of naval staff and changing of chief of army staff, and at the end of the day, they end up not doing anything. Did you see a writer on the newspaper today that in Zamfara 3 were killed and 64 were abducted by bandits? Just today, I saw, probably it happened yesterday or 2 days ago. So we are not of the opinion that Mr. President is called a flash in the pan. It's called a white elephant project. It's something that they would take to the United States of America and try to pull the wool over their eyes, as though there is probably a serious or probably an organic interface related piece that will now what are they interfacing? What are they related? We know the problem. The problem is that they want to wipe out those who are not Christians and they want to take over their land. So my question to Mr. President is that as you are bringing up this issue, what are you going to do about the bandits that were led into this country?
Right.
There's an issue that everybody seems as though it's so hot. We don't want to touch it. Bandits were led into this country, okay? In 2013 and 2014, prior to Goodluck Jonathan's election, where are they? Who armed them? Who have been sponsoring them, okay? If we can attend to that issue, I bet you that the issue of Boko Haram and ISWAP will be wiped out in 24 hours.
Right. Many people still wonder if they are killings, if this is a genocide, or with the actual noun before that, a Christian genocide. Is it a Christian genocide or is it an ethnic genocide? Why should people believe, if this allegation is true, that this is genocide against Christians and is not some kind of ethnic cleansing, so to speak? How does one basically draw those statistics?
You see what the congressman said 2 days ago in America. He said that the killing is when you count 5 Christians, then you count 1 Muslim. Okay, he's just trying to use that to show you the ratio. He now also double down and say, when you count 5 Christians, you probably count another 1 person from another ethnic group. So he's just telling you that the killing is basically Christians who may be in neither Yoruba, Igbo or Hausa or even Fulani. You know, you have Fulani Christians. Yes, you have Fulani Christians. You have those who are Fulanis and they're also Christians. And if they come to you and you don't identify with them, they will definitely kill you. When they started burning mosque and started killing Hausas and other Fulanis, I told myself, this is a cover-up, okay? When this thing will come up to international and global discussion tomorrow, they will say, after all, mosques were burned and non-Christians were killed. I say it's a cover-up because when you look at it, 89 to 90% of people who are being killed are predominantly Christians. And why will you kill them and take over their land if it's a farmer-header clash? Why will you kill somebody and then you take over the person's land if it's an ordinary farmer-header clash? So that's why the narrative of the president does not hold waters. And this current investigation will bring all the things that have been, that they're trying to hide. It will bring it into limelight.
All right, so let's look at Daily Sun. And of course, the top story here concerns the PDP crisis. That also made the news at the weekend following the convention that held in Ibadan. And shall we say the agreements reached after that convention. And many people started to, let's say, tongues started to wag when they saw the expulsion of FCT Minister Yesom Wike, of course, Anyanwu as well, and other stakeholders that were also expelled from the party, citing anti-party activities. I mean, what's your overall appreciation of the quality of those agreements reached and the legality of them as well? Because many people question, if at the end of the day there were conflicting court orders, INEC did not make that convention, what's the possibility that whatever agreement was reached would be upheld at the end?
So I said it here, was it last week? And then I think Namde was trying to say, if people have decided to forge ahead and governors have come together to, conduct a convention in order to save the soul of a dying political party. So who can say that an ordinary court order should stop them? But I know the validity of a convention when a life court order is saying do not conduct. And now let me bring out one kind of ingredient that is lacking in that convention in Ibadan. Do you know that INEC did not supervise it? Okay, INEC did not supervise it.
INEC was not present.
INEC was not present.
To an initial
yes,
order.
INEC was not present because there were two court orders from Abuja Federal High Court, okay, stopping the convention from going on and also restraining INEC from, participating, supervising the convention and also seeing to the election. Now, if INEC was not there, how will these elected or selected officers, how will INEC recognize any document that is signed by them? Have you seen a problem right now? We might be clapping our hands that the news is on the air that Wike and Anyanwu has been suspended from PDP. Okay, someone who don't know the organic nature of the problem of PDP might be, wagging his or her tongue to the effect that probably PDP is about to start on a new, clean slate, if you can use that word, but it's still entangled with, court action. So how will the court resolve this at the end of the day? What will be the legality of the actions of these new officers who were elected as a result of this convention that is, entangled with court order? So I don't know how it, and the leaders are talking tough. All the leaders are talking tough, it's as though they have achieved a very big one. I, of all people, would have loved Wike and his co-host, to be suspended and totally deleted from PDP because their actions and anti-party actions have, it have caused a whole lot of setback in that party.
Yes,
but doing it with a court, 2 live court orders, stopping them from doing that. I wonder the lifespan of this convention.
I mean, the PDP has been embroiled in a deep controversy, and many people have been wondering and asking the question, why are you seeing all these anti-party activities and you're not even expelling or suspending the person whom is being accused? Now you've seen this, the faction of PDP that has had that convention basically coming up and doing that which many people who have not supported the FCT minister have been asking for, right? So do you see this decision gaining enough support to stand at the very end of the day?
Of course. I'm going to talk legally now because there's a man that went to court to get this injunction, and he's of the opinion that he is supposed to be allowed to procure the the PDP chairmanship form, and he was not allowed. So if that right has been denied of him, which is a right that he possesses as a card-carrying member of PDP, so why would a national convention hold? Now, politically, if you approach him right now, you understand, and make him an offer, he can withdraw that very action, and the whole case of Wike and his cause will fall to the ground.
Judging by the mindset of the current leadership of PDP following that convention, now the mindset they are towing is one of uniting the party. They're trying to foster peace within the party. They're trying to go ahead and approach each of these people. They're not waiting for them to the stakeholders to come to them. They want to approach these individuals and try to broker peace. That's the mindset. And there was an interview granted by the new National Publicity Secretary where he spoke really well, and I must say he did speak really diplomatically and really well, saying that he didn't want to basically say anything that would foster more discord. He wanted the national chairman to be able to go ahead with his peace-finding mission, we can call it that. Do you see this as a rebirth of the People's Democratic Party, or is it the final nail on the coffin? Would the FCT minister and other expelled members of the party go ahead to pursue legal action that would further stifle the future of Nigeria's main opposition?
By Wike's known characteristics, I know that he will definitely pursue a legal action against every action that will be taken by everybody elected by during this convention. Like I rightly pointed out, INEC was not there. So how will they legitimize every meeting they will have? How would they endorse documentation? How would they come together and say that this is our governorship candidate in Enugu, in Lagos State, and the power of a convention lies on its legitimacy. So if you remove that legitimacy, what make? I am not saying that they cannot do something and that thing will receive a legitimate stamp tomorrow, okay? Because I know that the court is out there to, look at what PDP have gone through and whether those 2 court orders lying in Abuja would have been enough to stop them from conducting a convention. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a case of a legal tussle between the pro-Wike group and then the current people now who are, yes, when you listen to that speech and when you listen to the new stakeholders of PDP now, like I said, they are talking tough. They sound like they've achieved something big and they know where they are going. Let me tell you one thing, Natalie, the way PDP have operated from 2023 up to now, it is not a political party. It's not a political party. A political party should be together. If there's a fraction, it should be healed within a fraction of a percentage second, because they hold the opinion of a lot of people and they are an opposition. They should be a very formidable front. They are not supposed to be rising and falling and cracking and opening at every little misunderstanding. They should be strong and also see how, do you know, and you can agree with me that it's as a result of this internal rivalry in PDP that have made so many states governors to decamp and join APC. Is the reason they cite? Is the reason they cite? So if PDP have not been, kind of engaged in this kind of political embroidery, you can bear me witness that they would have been stronger today and they would have formed and given Nigerians that kind of, formidable opposition that we really, really desire in this kind of political atmosphere that Nigeria is passing through.
Judging by the antecedents of the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, and when you look at the news that was making the rounds at the weekend, you see that somehow his name continued to crop up, talking about the altercation with the naval officer, talking about the PDP convention, and his actions. He described it as a total charade.
And the call for the military for him to be removed from office.
Exactly.
There's a lot on his table right now.
So he has somehow immersed himself in all of the stories that we've seen trending on socials and even in mainstream media. So there are also calls for the president to go ahead and not typically fire him, but to reassign him from the ministry of the FCT to another ministry. They feel like the president should go ahead and discipline him for, like the stakeholders said, stepping on too many toes and doing so in an unruly fashion, right? So why do you think the presidency is yet to speak on the different issues that we've seen the FCC minister at the center of the confrontation, the pushback about the convention, and a lot of the issues concerning land in the Federal Capital Territory?
Yes, back last month there were so many accusations against Wike on, I think, buying a house in the United States and also amassing a lot of land. And the latest issue with him and Yerima, it also borders on land. And then, like you rightly pointed out, the military are accusing him of stepping a lot of toes. But when you now consider the political relevance of Wike, okay, for Mr. President in Rivers State and also in Abuja, you will bear me witness that Wike is not the type that you can just pull from a particular position and toss to an irrelevant place where his voice will not be heard. I believe that before you deal with him, or before he could go to the extent of leaving his own party and playing this role he's playing for Mr. President, which is a member of APC, I believe that they must have agreed on certain things. You can't just pull him out and put him in a place, where he will not be. Wike may not want to be an ambassador. Who will hear him? He will just go there and he can't be making the kind of noise.
But the question now is the inaction against his conduct of late, an endorsement by the presidency that it's okay to go ahead and misbehave in front of public officials. It's okay to, be acting the way he is. Is the presidency's silence on Wike's conduct?
Yeah, of course, the president is silent, but Natalie, when you look at the nature of the issue, talking about Mr. Wike and Yerima, I think it's a slight matter. It's not something that we should expect Mr. President to comment on. Mr. President is being threatened by the United States of America, and you want him to leave. His hands are also full. His hands are also full.
Okay, so let's look at it. Still on the weekend drama, and of course, still on what happened. Now, the naval officer A.M. Yerima has been thrust into nationwide popularity, and I'm sure he's also gaining some global traction as well. Now, reports emerged yesterday about an alleged assassination attempt, which he happened to escape. Of course, this is according to military sources, that unidentified men dressed in black driving two unmarked Hilux vans without number plates trailed the officer from Nipco police station along the Line Expressway to Gado Nasco Way, and their coordinated movement reportedly raised immediate suspicion. So suspicion. So he initially saw them and then decided to divert and get to safety. So he escaped that alleged assassination attempt. And this is according to military sources. He has not come out to confirm or debunk it at the time of this broadcast. Now, many people started to look at the timing. Why is this happening after the heated confrontation with the FCT minister? And they started to say things like, nothing should happen to this naval officer. If anything happens, we're looking straight to you, Mr. Wike, right? So essentially, how can we not look at this suspiciously?
We can. Yes, there's the incident or the allegation. When I was reading it, I think it was on Punch this morning. I was reading it on Punch this morning. I was it's likely everybody, all hands would definitely be pointing at Wike. But you can also bear me witness that the military officer was there protecting land. And when you talk about land, so many interests will be involved. Probably some of the people that Wike is protecting their interests would want to, do away with Yerima, even without Wike not knowing. Land connotes interest from different type of people. It's not just the key figures that you're seeing right there that can really, really matter. But what I'm saying is that it's good that he reported it. The military, they are good in intelligence. He should also report it to the police, such a way that the necessary security should be provided for him, whether inside the barracks or within the town.
Could it be that this was just to kind of create the fear of the unknown, such that nobody would want to challenge anybody in this country? Because if you do, you might just be the next person to escape an assassination attempt. Could this just have been an attempt to perhaps foster that nationwide fear that, if you do this and you put yourself in the spotlight, this could be your fate?
The other time I heard that a law is being passed to, kind of make it as though the military is under every executive officer. I wonder how they will do that at the end of the day. But how will you? Is it not terrorism? Using fear to put to make people to do what you want them to do, or to pass a narrative. You understand? It's also social terrorism. So I would personally discourage that. If you have a valid case, if you have a legitimate case, go out there and fight it out. And if anyone is stepping on your right or trying to step on your toe, instead of wagging your tongue anyhow, just go to court. Go to any closer court there and institute your action. So
speaking about the courtroom, what do you consider if you were to draw a systemic prediction as to what the fallout of the PDP convention would be? What do you think the next step would be for those aggrieved members who were making the news as a result of the historic PDP expulsion?
Again, when you look at the complaint of those aggrieved members, you can bear me witness that their office may, or rather should, naturally terminate on the 8th day of December 2025. You understand? So we can wait for that day to elapse, which will give them no political ground, you understand, to make any valid case. So there are so many angles to it. If the new PDP now is formidable, if they are strong, and if they are going to work with one spirit, I think they should be ready for any kind of legal action that they will face in court. You understand? Because there's an extent to which a court of law can determine the internal movement or internal activities of a particular party.
What kind of skills would such a lawyer involved in such a case, fighting such a case, need to succeed in court?
You have to look around the order of court that was also given in somewhere in the West. I think the PDP that had this convention also got an order of court. So you have to look at the validity of that order of court. The reason why the judge gave the order for them to conduct their convention. So you can look around it and try to use it as a persuasive argument, you understand, over order of court. Because one thing is that once an order of court is trying to prevent something to be done, okay, and also another order of court is trying to promote that thing to be done, a judge who is now sitting in an appellate position will look at the reasons, they will look at the affidavit, they will look at the reasons why this should be done and why this should not be done. If the weight of or the interest of this one or outweighs the other one, then the party that gets it, wins at the end of the court can say that convention is null and void.
That's right.
And PDP can go back and conduct another one.
So we're seeing Serap giving CBN 7 days to account for an alleged 3 trillion naira missing funds. Now, missing funds have become a normal thing in Nigeria. Nigerians all understand. We look at the Abacha loot that the Nigerian government keeps saying, oh, we've recovered so and so trillion naira from Abacha's loot. And we don't know what happens. I mean, people are even asking at this point in time that there should be some kind of inquiry into what all the recovered lands in the Capital Territory by the FCT minister have been used for.
It should be gazetted.
It should be gazetted. So there have been cases of missing funds, and then once it's announced, nobody knows what happens.
Nobody knows where it goes.
Is calling for that inquiry.
Nobody gives account of where the money goes. Nobody says this project was initiated with the money that we received from. Nobody does that. Serap have been suing. How many times did Serap sue Buhari? Serap have been suing a whole lot of people. But my problem is that what becomes the outcome of this litigation at the end of the day, I don't know.
So this is something that
EFCC should take up.
Why don't we ever know what the outcome is? Why do we just focus on the bold headline that says this amount has been recovered?
Because I think it's sponsored. That headline is sponsored. And the essence of the sponsorship is for the people to know that they can sue. They may sue, they may get a lawyer to sue, but you can never hear that. Have you ever heard that Serap won this case? Have you ever heard that? I've never heard. If anyone has seen a case where Serap have won a case, let them bring the final judgment. Let me see.
Clarify what you mean by sponsored.
Yes, I can sponsor something to be on the pages of a newspaper. I can initiate an action, pay journalists, sponsor it to be on the pages of newspaper, and that's what I want to achieve. I want that bold headline. That's all I want.
But I have no intention of going.
And I have no intention of pursuing it. I have no intention of concluding it to a logical, professional conclusion. You don't have any plans to do that. You just want to sue Buhari for borrowing money, sue Atiku, sue everybody, at the end of the day, they will sue the whole Nigerians, and nothing comes out of this litigation. What I'm saying that if they can channel their energy towards the particular institution that has the constitutional right to probe and investigate money issue, like EFCC or the other one, I think we will achieve something. If they can write a petition to all these bodies, probably they will wade in, because they are the ones that have the right to look at account details, okay?
Right.
They have the power to go to bank, block account, open account, check where money is going to. They have the prerequisite constitutional authorization to do that. So going to court and instituting an action, I wonder how it will help to solve the problem at hand at the end of the day. So many monies are missing.
It will take 4 years for Wike to return to PDP. This is according to Bode George, who, by the way, made the announcement at that convention. Says FCT minister desecrated party, disrespected elders. So they're asking Wike to understand that it would take 4 years for him to return to the party, and also asking him to tender an unreserved apology, to that effect. Do you see Wike apologizing for, as he was accused, desecrating the party and disrespecting elders?
Yeah, things are very, very weird. PDP political peace party. It's one of the biggest slap that PDP has ever received in their face, and so many other things. Yes, if they can prove it that he has, desecrated their party and conducted himself in an anti-party activity, they will go a long way, like expelling him and also following up on the aftermath of this expulsion, because I know that Wike, will not just relax, allowing himself to be expelled. He will also put up a pushback and challenge everything that this party will definitely try to do with that convention.
So let's look away from there now to the issue of the mother tongue policy. Now we're seeing the federal government being urged to apologize and reverse the mother tongue policy, right? How do you feel entirely by the cancellation by the Minister of Education on the use of mother tongue to teach in schools? Was it a good call to cancel the use of mother tongue?
This is very, very dicey, because Nigeria Nigeria as a nation adopted English language as their lingua franca.
Right.
Okay, so but then when you go to states, okay, like in Enugu state here now we are, they teach Igbo. Okay, they teach Igbo. Okay, they teach Igbo. So in trying to communicate to a pupil in an Igbo language, you understand, you can teach him the various dialects of Igbo language and then zero in on the central one, because in Igbo now, if they are teaching me Igbo, they don't use local dialect. There's a central Igbo language. There's a central Hausa language. There's also a central Yoruba language. When you are writing Yoruba, when you are writing Hausa, you don't go to appease the other local dialect, small pocket of dialect. There's a central one that you use, okay? Now, in teaching, we believe that that very central one is the one that should be used. But in trying to let someone know that that is not the only one that is in existence, you can mention other ones. So it depends on the degree to which you use other small dialects to teach, because there must be one thing that the minister saw wrong in trying to do that, because probably like me, I don't think there's anything in someone speaking his local dialect or mother tongue, as he may call it. Yeah.
Yes, but is it dwindling the performance of students? Those students who are taught in mother tongue, is it dwindling their performance in national exams? I mean, if you have to teach someone physics in Igbo.
No.
I mean, we've had a whole physics textbook written in Igbo, by the way.
Yes,
and that was quite impressive. But
yes,
you have some standard books that are written predominantly in English, right?
Yeah, that's where we have to start from. What official language has Nigeria approved? English. So everything has to be taught in English. The only thing you cannot teach in English is something like Igbo. You can't be teaching someone Igbo in English. So that's the only thing you can't teach in English. Apart from that, everything, physics, biology, they should be taught in English language. The only thing where I am faulting him is that when it comes to teaching someone about his own local language, his mother tongue should be involved. But mother tongue should not be used to teach people other subjects like mathematics and
the point you're
biology.
Making is that mother tongue should be taught in schools. I mean, people should learn the language.
Yes.
But there have been concerns that cancelling use of mother tongue and teaching other subjects is going to further dwindle the cultural pride of Nigeria and further cause imperialism, which we're facing now in the country, where the Western culture is being seen as dominant in a local country like Nigeria, where you believe that you have to act like those abroad to have some kind of validity or to be competitive, right? That this policy is going to further lead to the dwindling of people's acceptance of cultural pride. And that's even why Apia TV is here. So now
I can see a kind of a sense in the narrative that you're pursuing. Because if you remove that mother tongue, someone could be teaching physics and use things that he found in his own local environment, which may not even be in any physics textbook, you understand, to communicate the knowledge of physics to you. And like in China and in Japan, they teach in Russia, they teach with their own local dialect. Everything means something in their own local dialect. But in a multicultural and multifaceted nation like Nigeria, we should also pay allegiance to that lingua franca, which has been generally accepted as the language that we use in communicating knowledge.
Do you think that people who are taught in their mother tongue do not perform well in society? Do you think that it's difficult for them to reach certain heights because they are limited by the language they understand, which may not even be unanimous across regions in the country, let alone globally?
I wonder what my thoughts, I wonder what you're going to do with my thought here right now, because I'm not going to base it on any psychological or empirical kind of experiment, okay? But I know that cognitively speaking, you understand, when you allow someone to, because they say that every language has a particular part of the brain that it occupies. When you allow someone to speak as many languages as possible, it helps to allow the person to, see things from different perspectives. And that, in my own understanding, is part of knowledge.
All right, Barrister Chidi, thank you so much for
Thanks
sharing your views on the show today.
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed how you are dodging everything, but you still gave us some great points.
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
So it's so good to have you.
Thanks a lot.
And keeping everything,
Yep.
active and lively. Thank you once again.
It's all good.
All right, the morning show would return shortly, and when we come back, we'll be taking a regional story, and not to forget, we will be crossing over to executive producer 318 Hectares Nnamdi Obaya, who is going to be joining us live from the sidelines of the Enugu State High Court, where the hearing is supposed to commence today, November 17th, of course, in just a few minutes. The morning show returns in seconds. Don't go anywhere.